Okay, this is Intermediate Value Theorem, number one of the big five. And I don't know if you remember in pre-calculus last year, do you remember talking about the Intermediate Value Theorem a little bit?
Kind of, yeah.
A little bit. Anybody? So Kylie remembers, anybody else?
I think so.
Yeah, what we did is, remember we had the deal, we had, Intermediate Value Theorem came up when we did this thing. We said odd, odd, even, remember that? Well, an odd positive or an odd negative function, what does it have to have? The graph of an odd positive function or odd negative, what does it have to have?
An odd exponent.
I'm talking about a polynomial function. It has to have what? At least one.
Zero.
At least one real zero. Why does a odd polynomial function, odd natured polynomial function, either positive or negative, have to have at least one real zero? Why? What is the theorem that requires it to have to happen? This thing right here, Intermediate Value Theorem. So there's no way that you can go from greater than negative infinity to infinity continuously without what? Crossing the x-axis. So that's basically what the Intermediate Value Theorem is. But there's another way that I have another teaching colleague who renamed the theorem. I want you just to consider that for a little bit. Oh, let's see, I want to do it like this. This is it. Okay. It's called the biggest loser theorem. Biggest loser theorem, okay? So you got a contestant who starts out at 475 pounds and who over the course of the competition gradually reduces to 140 pounds. So the question is, was there at least one time that her weight must have equaled, and it says 200 pounds, but exactly 200 pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so Carson says, yeah, why Carson? Why is that?
Because
You can't just make 5 pounds dissipate automatically.
it
has to be gradual.
Yeah. And part of it has to do with the nature of what a function is, right? A function is especially something versus time. Did this formerly 475-pound woman exist? Was she alive on planet Earth from the time she weighed this to the time she weighed this? Yeah, she was, okay? Which means that this had to happen. Do we know from the Intermediate Value Theorem how it happened? I mean, we could guess. It was maybe, was it a straight line thing like this, or a curve like that, or was it like this?
It's possible it is also.
Or maybe dropped down to 100 pounds and came up here. We don't know how it happened, but we know it had to have happened at least once. And so what you look for in problems like this is you look for must. You look for the words must, because these come up in like word problems. Must have, or at least, something that because when you see the word must or something like that, it means that you're talking about a theorem of algebra or calculus problem related. And so that's essentially it. It's really quite, I think, it's really quite an easy concept to understand. But one thing that happens in especially AP test problems, they find what? They find a way to make an easy problem confusing, right? So you just try to stay logical and stay straight and think. And you got to think sometimes scientifically and innovatively. Like we had the, remember we talked about at the beginning of the year, PVANG, physical, let's see, PVANG, verbal, analytical, numerical, graphical, right? And so it kind of ties all those together. One thing that really helps me when I look at what happens to be an IVT problem, Intermediate Value Theorem, is I like to a lot of times make a little sketch of where, sometimes they'll give you just points. And so it happened here, F of this, and so if you just draw something and you see where the thing crosses the line and that, so that's the way I like to do those problems. I don't know how you like to do these problems when you see them, but we will take a look at these a little bit. Here we have this problem. Use the Intermediate Value Theorem to show that f of x equals x cubed plus 2x minus 1 has a 0 in the interval from 0 to 1. So just think about that and try to work that out and justify it here and articulate. And I'll go over that with you in just a minute.
If you factor, you can find the zeros.
Pardon me?
I said if you factor, you can find the zeros.
I don't know if that's the way to do it.
So the 0 and the 1 are x values?
They are x values.
Oh!
Interval notation. And here's another thing. It says a 0 in the interval. When you talk about interval, that's two things tell you those are x values. One, it says interval, all right? Second, what else tells you? It's an interval notation, okay? So they redundantly told you twice that those are x values. Yes, sir.
After we're done with this hearing, I got this question.
Okay.
I'll like listen after that.
Okay. What do you think on this one?
I was gonna try and factor it, but then it's like squared.
Yeah, what it is, see, you're sort of, you're not thinking for the right thing. I mean, you're trying to be diligent and stuff. And factoring is usually a good move. But in this case, I don't think that's what helped. Okay, let me show you. Yeah. Okay, what you want to find is f of 0, which is -1, right? And you want to find f of 1, which equals 1 plus 2 minus 1 equals 2, right? Since f of 0 is less than 0 and f of 1 is what? Greater than 0, there must be what? Be
A zero.
a value of x, right? Where f of x is equal to 0. And I forgot to mention one thing you need to do. Let me just rewrite this slightly. Oops. Let me rewrite this. That's, okay, yeah, I can do it this way. There we go. I'm going to insert here according to the Intermediate Value Theorem, comma, there must be a value of x where f of x equals 0, okay? So that is how you do that one. Now, is that really a hard problem?
No.
What is hard about it? Because to me, there is something that's a little bit hard about it, kind of.
Just like, that we're just learning it.
Pardon me?
That we're just learning it.
That we're just learning it? Yeah,
To
that's true
articulate
too.
your answer.
Yeah, so, and so what Aaron just said is what I was thinking about, is that what happens is, it's sort of like you see that it has to be, but how do you explain it? And so part of what we're doing in this class is we're learning to explain what is kind of obvious and explain it with the proper calculus language. Okay, so, but it's a new language, isn't it? You haven't learned the language, but the logic is not really foreign, is it? Isn't that just completely logical? Yeah. And then what you could do also, if you wanted to, you could make a little sketch. I told you to make a sketch where you'd say, okay, well here's the thing. At 0, you're at -1. At 2, you're at 1. Excuse me, 1, you're at 2, and then you see that you've crossed the x-axis there. So you can do that too. Okay. Okay, what I want you to do is look at this one here, which is a free response problem here. So look at this free response problem 2. I'm looking ahead here, see what we got here. Okay, I was ready to change. Kind of think of the language that I showed you on the last problem when you make your justification. Okay, Kylie looks like she's writing a lot down.
So,
I think she's
I
gonna,
am, but
I think she's gonna have a fully articulated. Hannah, you're writing stuff down too, right? Did you write it down an answer to yet? You did. Let me see your answer here.
Oh, great.
look at my answer. She might be wrong, but.
Yeah, Aaron, I think this is really good. I would do it differently than how you did it. I think
I think
that's a correct articulation. What I'll do is,
Got my
can I
pen.
see yours here?
Sure can. If I wrote it down,
And
fine.
then someone said I'm not fierce at all. That's rude.
Okay. The thing you
Not all
want to do,
yours.
I mean, your explanation, your logic is good, but you also want to put
Mhm.
data detail from the table in that explanation.
Okay.
I'm gonna read.
So that's the only thing, but the logic, the way you otherwise explain what it is fine.
Thanks.
Let's see what you
I have it.
have.
With my pen.
You have something?
Oh!
Just wait a couple of minutes.
Can you imagine swallowing that food?
I think that's like a large portion as well.
So Kylie, see if you can go ahead and do something like I told you with the numbers.
Okay.
And kind of see if you can fix it up. Then I want to show you my way, and then Aaron will show you what he did.
Oh, that get to show?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Good way to do it. What you'll find out is that there are a lot of different ways to properly articulate the answer. Now sometimes you'll have it just like in English without much of the symbols and still logically explain it right.
I can't see. I don't want my name on this board.
There was always when you were mad, like you did last year.
Okay,
You weren't so.
okay, let's,
Your board needs to be clean. Sometimes I
Yeah.
don't want to be happy.
That's DCW.
that's fine. Okay, let's go.
That's amazing.
Okay, here's the way I would do this, okay?
I'm gonna leave the dinosaur. I like the dinosaur. Now, you know what? Kill the
Since-
dinosaur.
Okay,
I'm
so-
telling Mr. G.
so here it is, thank you,
I'm doing
Aaron.
a service.
Okay, since V, I want to put F, put since V of 0 equals -20, and
Oh, you were going the whole 9 yards.
V of 60 equals 10, according to IVT,
E.T.
there must be at least once at least one time or moment when V of t is equal to -5. And so the justification is right here, because you can see this -20, and logically -5 is going to be in between those two. But could you have used different values than those there?
Yes.
You could have, right? You could have used, now the one that I would have been otherwise tempted to use was this interval here, right? And what would be the advantage of putting the interval in right here between 35 t equals 35 and t equals 50 versus the way I did it.
They're closer to the
They're
number.
closer.
What this does is this would describe, would pinpoint more distinctly where the thing has to be. So, but what it is, why do you think I answered it this way? Instead of using the -10 and the 0. Why do you think I did it?
I put those down because I thought those were much your question. I had to figure out
Okay.
what to see.
Okay, I'll tell you the way I did it. Why I did it was because I was answering the question in terms of the way the question was asked, right?
Okay.
So I was spitting back I was speaking in the same language as the questioner by using the interval I did. I didn't have to do that. Now, Aaron, I want to go ahead. Do you have questions about the way I explained it here? Okay, I want to get Aaron's explanation too, because I think it was a really good explanation. So Aaron, I don't know if you want to write on this thing or if you want to tell me what to write.
I'll just tell you.
Okay, tell me what to write.
I said since v of 35 is less than -5, and v of 50 is greater than -5, according to the IVT, there must be a value of t where v of t equals -5.
Okay, so do you see what he did on this one? I think this is a good way to do it, right? So the thing I like about it, he's relating it to the horizontal line of v of t equals -5, right? It's like a horizontal line at -5, and you can see that you have this thing. This is going to be less than -5, right? And this other thing is going to be greater than -5, so you can, so in his explanation, I think he made it visual. So that's a good explanation. I think that's a good
I think
explanation.
it's great.
Really good. But there are really a lot of different ways to make an explanation of these. I've been thinking since, because you asked about the test, and we're going to come back to this. I think I want to do the test sooner. Let me tell you why.
Me too.
And here's the reason. Is because you're going to be less ready after the weekend than you will be before the weekend.
Isn't it a 3-day
I
weekend?
disagree,
Why is that?
because I have a bunch of, like, applications that need to get done by this weekend, and I need the weekend to be able to study for that.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm not dead set what I'm saying, but we've been actively covering stuff like this. You've had your quiz. I'll give you the homework assignment to continue working on. So you'll have things like, so you're going to have recent drilling on this kind of stuff. And by next week, that isn't going to be as recent unless you're continuing to study at it.
Which I probably won't be for the 3-day weekend.
So, I don't know, I'm not 100% dead set on it, but just thinking, I think you're going to be more ready before the weekend than after. Now, maybe not everybody. Would it be better to have the test on
Like, for next week,
Yeah,
I have that order.
I mean, whatever
Okay,
works.
well,
for
as
me.
long as it's not Thursday, it's not gonna
I
be
think that's fair, I like that.
So Tuesday, but here's, I'm gonna give you another follow-up assignment here. Go from 8, do 8 through, yeah, do 8 through 12. We did 18, right? So do 8 through 12, and we'll go over those tomorrow, okay?
All right.
All right, good.